Welcome to Founder Stories. With me today is Matt Tucker from Jive.
Thanks for having me.
And it's great to have you. So Jive, tell us a bit about the company just to give the audience some context, and we'll jump right in.
To keep it simple, Jive builds products to help companies get work done in a much more modern and mobile way.
And you started Jive 13 years ago this week.
Yeah, it's our anniversary this week, which is awesome. It's been a long time for sure.
Well, it's also a testament that many real businesses and companies take a good amount of time to be built. Now, when you first started it, you and your co-founder, both technical, neither one of you wanted to be the CEO, but your first 6 or so years, you bootstrapped the company. Tell us a little bit about that, and then why you decided to then take venture money.
Yeah, Bill Lynch and I, both computer science majors from University of Iowa, essentially started Jive right out of college. And we did at least, we didn't know a lot, but we did at least know that we did not want to be CEO. And we're lucky enough to bring in awesome guy Dave Hirsch to be Jive's first CEO. But bootstrapped for those first 6 years because there really wasn't any other choice. We found ourselves, even though we incorporated in February, found ourselves in New York City September 1st, 2001. And then we're going to look for our first office space on September 11th. And we had this idea that we were going to build online communities for large companies. That was the initial thing we did before expanding into several other areas. But 2001, September, in New York City,
Wow.
With that business model, there was obviously no choice but to bootstrap it, find profitability as fast as we possibly could. And I think it was great for us in those early years because there was no other choice.
So kind of you're bootstrapping, and then what changed your view in 2007 that you thought, well, hey, we should take some outside capital in to help expand the business?
Yeah, I mean, you think back to 2006, 2007. It doesn't seem that long ago, but it was also very different. But at that time, Facebook was starting to ramp. There was Friendster and MySpace, and companies were playing around with blogs and wikis. The book Wikinomics came out around that time. And so there was the start of a change where people were looking for new and better ways to get work done. And suddenly everything that was happening in the consumer world around social, I think it led people to say, hey, we're more open to ideas about better and more profoundly different ways of getting work done. Maybe there can be something better than email finally. And so that was a place we found ourselves in that time period. We built a brand new product from the ground up, launched it at the beginning of the year, got massive positive reaction from customers, and kind of realized if we don't go after this and find the right partner to give us funding and start scaling the company much faster, somebody else is going to be successful doing this, and we wanted to win the space.
Now, in your role, I mean, your title today is CTO, and it's been CTO since 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And as we were talking about before we started recording, I mean, there's not a simple definition. I mean, I know my role when I've been a CTO, I mean, it kind of changes from architect to sales engineer, I mean, to engineer.
Exactly.
And you've kind of seen it from inception to now public, as a public company. Tell us about that journey as the CTO and what you kind of learned also as you brought in as CEO, what that relationship was like.
Yeah, it's been very different every year of the company. And at the start, I was one of the two coders. Bill was building the product with me, and then it's changed and changed. I think it was back in 2008. I went through this process of trying to figure out really what a CTO was supposed to do. As we had kept scaling the company and we were starting to hit an inflection point in growth. And so I went around and I interviewed 10 other CTOs. And I said, what do you do? What should I be looking out for? How do I do the right thing to get to the next level? And everybody gave me a different answer. But it tended to fall into two buckets. One was, hey, there's a set of internal things you could focus on. You can be leading the next innovation. You can be an engineering leader. Do other things inside of the company. And then the other bucket was you can be an external CTO. You can be doing sales, thought leadership. And all the input I got was, well, you kind of got to pick one or the other. And that didn't really seem to fit me too well. And so the thing I discovered was it is possible to do both. And so I don't know what the perfect CTO role is, but for me today, it's about half internal, so working on new architectures, doing a lot of product work, and then half is external, doing sales, working with customers, understanding how they're using the product, and then doing things like thought leadership, speaking at conferences, understanding what's happening in the market.
And tell us a little about your relationship with the VP of engineering, because I mean, Bill ran engineering for a bit, and just kind of, and now there's something different. So how have you kind of worked with engineering as the CTO?
Yeah, so it's been different in all the different years. There was a period of time where I was running about half of engineering, Bill was running the other half of engineering. Then there was a period of time where I just went and worked on kind of the next generation architecture with a small set of folks. So today I report to our SVP of engineering, Brian Roddy, and that has worked out fantastically. He does an amazing job managing the team, driving forward all of the details of the engineering process, lets me go and work on the parts that I really care about, plus leave plenty of room for the external part of the role.
Do you have any kind of regrets on looking back that you didn't, at least for a period of time, try the role as CEO or not?
Really not at all. And is the one thing that we're always clear on is the part that, and Bill was the same way, we always felt most passionate about was the product and engineering side. And we didn't want the CEO gig, and we were always lucky enough to find amazing CEOs to run the company. But it does make me think about, there was always the issue of, all right, so we were clear about CEO. We knew we wanted to be product and engineering guys, but we didn't know a lot about the rest of what the company should do, starting this thing right out of college. And so it was always an interesting experience figuring out, well, how do you hire for all these new roles? Even with a CEO, we had to partner up and figure out how do we build a sales team, how do we build a marketing team, how do we build each of these functions, which we just didn't have in the early days, of course, and have had to scale now as a public company.
Mm-hmm. One of the challenges that at least I experienced is, especially when you're the founder or the CTO, and even frankly for that matter when you're VP of engineering, if you have a particular technical opinion, how you express that without it necessarily being an edict.
Yeah.
Because you just want to contribute as an individual contributor. And I'm wondering, like, what have you kind of learned?
That's an awesome point, and you often find yourself in the situation of, I just want to have a very positive argument and just have people push back on me and figure out the best answer, and we'll just get in front of a whiteboard and go for it. And it doesn't always work that way.
It doesn't work when you're the founder or you're the VP, because they'll
exactly.
Often they want to appease you, and it's like, actually, no, I don't want to appease you, I just want to get to the right answer.
Exactly. So I've tried different techniques, and one of them is often just being very explicit with people. I'll say, I'm taking off CTO hat, and I just want to put on the hat of talking as engineers, and let's just solve this problem together. Or I'm taking off this other hat, and now I'm going to speak to you as a board member, or I'm going to give you a founder input on this issue. And so sometimes just being very explicit about, hey, let's play these roles together, that helped. And then part of it was just having to change a little bit of the way I would approach an argument or approach generally not arguments, but how do we reach a design decision? How do I make it not feel like this is the only answer, but that we need to work on this collaboratively? And I've had to do a lot of work over the years, but it's worth it, because that is what you're always looking for, is building as a team, reaching the best answer. I definitely don't always have it.
One of the things that the company has done, which I admire, is move from different physical locations, and we're extended, right? So
yeah.
You're in New York, or I mean, arguably Iowa originally, then New York, then Portland, and now you have an office in Palo Alto. How, like, looking back on that, like, what are some lessons around team building as you kind of move, like, entire geographical regions? Yeah,
and to be specific, we're doing major engineering projects in Portland, in Palo Alto, in Tel Aviv through a company that we acquired, and the San Francisco office, which, Palo Alto and San Francisco, they really do count as far enough away to be separate offices. And it is hard, and as we went through those different phases and had to figure out how to do engineering between all of them, it did mean very different things we had to learn. I think the one thing that maybe has saved us, or that made it a little easier for us, is fundamentally, we are a collaboration company, and our entire mission is to do that for other organizations, and we massively eat our own dog food. And so there is something to, if you do find better ways of getting work together, getting work done together, not just using email, but actually doing everything out in the open, in public, in Jive, it does work better. So I think that's helped us.
That's fantastic. Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on Founder Stories. Thank you for
having me.
watching, and we'll see you next time.